So you've got to try and create yourself and make yourself in such a position that you are indispensable. So you want someone to smile at you. Why don't you smile at someone first? You want someone to be kind to you. Why don't you be kind to someone first?
Way, because without family you're nothing. So family is every basis. How can you be a blessing to someone else today? I do believe that would make this world a much better place.
Hello and welcome. It is SistasTalk with Sefin Smart. It is the program dedicated to inspiring and empowering women. Well, on manners and grace today, we will be exploring and learning how to conduct ourselves in the office place. And in the studio will be two amazing guests speaking to us on the African woman and the pressures of being married on or before 30. This and more will be going down on the show. So stay with us. I'll be back in a moment. Gone are the days when our mothers used to get married in their late teens, early 20s. Nowadays, our generation follow a trend of getting married in their late 20s, 30s, and even 40s. We can blame this on a lot of factors, but it doesn't take away the fact that pressures are being mounted from loved ones, acquaintances, and sometimes strangers. Now that brings us to our topic of the day, the African woman and the pressures of being married on or before 30. Welcome on board, people. It's time to meet my guests. Welcome on board, ladies.
Thank you, Sefin.
The good part is we're all single. But before we get down to the nitty-gritty of the topic, tell us about yourselves first.
My name is Michaela Moye. I'm a writer.
And ifueko Omoregie. I'm a civil engineer by profession.
Do you face pressure?
It depends on what it is that we're calling pressure. There's probably the personal pressure, just your own personal expectations. And then maybe there's the wider pressure of society. For me, I cannot say that anyone calls me on the phone and says, Mickey, when are you going to get married? I don't experience that kind of pressure, but I do get some. It's sort of like an inferred pressure. I guess the issue would be, where it's an issue is on how one is able to deal with it.
Ufeko, let's come to you. Do you feel pressurized?
Well, I don't get family pressure, but I do get a certain kind of pressure in the workplace, where your work is criticized because people expect your work is criticized because you're expected to behave a certain way. And because you're single, you don't get respected for the work that you do. Because
you're not married?
Yes, funny enough. If you work in the field that I do, you get to deal with a lot of, it's a male-dominated profession. And sometimes you give instructions and they're not followed because it's on a small girl kind of thing. Yeah, so because you're not single, you just feel like, because you're single rather, you just feel like, why should anybody listen to you? It's different when a married female engineer is on site. It's a little different, a little better than when you're single. But you experience this kind of things, and sometimes certain measures, or maybe wrong choice of words, but like because you're single, you don't get to have certain considerations in the office because you're single.
You're single.
So if you're married, there's, oh no, she's married, so she shouldn't do this. She's single, she can do this. She doesn't have any responsibility. And I think those are the kind of pressures that I find I have to deal with. Nothing from my family, which is a blessing, because I've heard people complain about mothers calling them on time. I don't get any of that.
Oh, I have friends who their mothers call them like daily, and she'll go, oh, have you met someone today? And she goes, I don't understand. Is it like every time I step out of the door, I'm supposed to just meet the potential husband? Like pressures like that continuously. As much as, yes, she talks back and says, just let it be. And the mother would keep quiet. But she would repeat the same thing, Subconsciously, it's built there that there's something wrong.
I think because in their generation, things were a little different. It was easier to get married. And in some cases, the marriage had nothing to even do with you. It would be arranged without your consent. Yes, right. So I think they don't understand why it's taking us so long, in quotes, and that's where their concern is coming from. And then they pressure you because they're expecting, why should your case be different from ours? They don't understand that, well, things are just different now. There are things that we want to do before we get married because of the constraints of being married. And I think for some mothers, that's where the problem is from. And they want you to be happy.
True,
and they feel that they judge your happiness by being married, rightly or wrongly. So I think that's where the pressure comes from within the family, especially from mothers, because they don't understand why time is different from theirs.
Ifueko has actually brought up some very interesting things that I think there are issues that we actually need to really address head on. You meet people who feel that because you're not wearing a wedding ring, or because you're not, trailing your plenty children after you, that you do not deserve respect. It's a form of gender discrimination for me. I don't pretend about it. I'm a feminist, and those kind of issues, I think, they're the kinds of things that I always like to talk about or write about. Your value is tied to who you are as a person.
An individual.
Exactly, as a human being, first of all. So you have the issue of being a woman in Nigeria. Then you now have the issue of being a single woman in Nigeria. A single woman of a certain age in Nigeria.
Mickey, let me cut you here. We'll go on a break because it's getting all hot in here. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, it will still be the talk on the African woman and the pressures of being married on or before 30. It's time for us to go on to our segment, Manners and Grace, and explore our office etiquette. Ellen standing by.
Hello everyone, my name is Helen and this is Sisters Talk with Stephanie Smart. This is the Manners and Grace Corner where you learn a lot about manners and grace. Today's topic will be on office etiquette, and I'm here to give us about 14 great hints on how to behave when in the office with our co-workers, the cleaners, our customers, and anyone who comes across us. The very first hint is treat your co-workers, maintenance guys, cleaners, everyone you come in contact with, please treat them with respect. Apply everyday courtesy. The good old-fashioned good morning, how was your day? I hope you had a good day. Did you sleep well? Is the family good? All these are things you're expected to ask your co-workers. And when you ask, say it like you mean it. The second hint is try to keep interruptions minimal in the office. When you interrupt a colleague, it destabilizes them somewhat. So always apologize when you interrupt someone and ask them if they have time to talk, that you could come back another time. It's very important. It shows you have general respect and you respect their time as well. The third hint is for us to learn how to appreciate courtesies that are extended to us. Anyone that does anything for you in the office at all should earn a thank you from you. It doesn't matter how small. It may look small to you, but because it took some of their own time, obviously that wasn't a small courtesy. So you always make sure you appreciate that. If you have those offices where you have cubicles that have doors on them, please always knock before entering someone else's space. Very importantly, it shows you respect them. You remember all day we've been talking about respect and showing courtesy. So important in the office because you want to be that colleague that your colleagues want to be around. So you knock before entering someone else's space. The fifth hint is just be that staff who is helpful and cooperative. So you are the computer whiz and some of your colleagues don't know so much about that. Help them out. It makes you look very big in their eyes. You should be cooperative as well. Show cooperation. You shouldn't be that one colleague who is on one side while the whole lot of your other colleagues are on the other. It's not a competition. It's a place to collaborate and help people out. The sixth is please be discreet in criticisms of a co-worker. This is especially if you are a boss. When you have a colleague who hasn't done the right thing, be discreet in criticizing them. You criticize someone in the open and you just end up getting the very wrong reaction. The person just closes up and at the end of the day, nothing is solved. Another hint is that you should not gossip about people's private lives. A colleague has
told you something or you have overheard something about your colleague, it's not for office talk. Just pretend you didn't hear it. You do not talk about your colleagues behind their backs. Hint number 8. Please, this is especially critical in our Nigerian office space. We take things to the office and we try to sell them to our colleagues. Please don't. It's very bad etiquette. Don't try to sell things to your colleagues at work. You know what that does? So it's one of two things. They like what you give them and they buy it and they don't pay. You have an enemy right there. Or they don't like what you're trying to sell and they don't buy. You also have an enemy right there. A perceived enemy, I might add. So safest thing to do, please don't try to sell anything to your colleagues. Don't hover around while a coworker is on the telephone. So your colleague has a call he's receiving or he's making and you want to see them. The smartest thing for you to do is ask them if you could come back, or you drop a little note on the table saying, I'd really like to speak with you. Please let me know when you're done, and then you come back. Don't hang around, because hanging around gives the impression like you're listening into what they're saying or you are keen to hear what it is they're saying. The 10th hint for today is you make a mistake, please apologize for your mistakes at work and never blame anyone else for your mistakes. That sounds like something that happens all the time in the office. Yep, yes it does. Don't blame someone else, okay? If you make a mistake, just throw your hands up, own up, and set about correcting it. That's the good colleague thing to do. Meetings, the 11th hint. Please do not arrive late for a meeting. Don't stay away from a meeting as well, because sometimes you see you're invited for a meeting and you keep away. Making an excuse for arriving late or staying away is not really enough. Please attend meetings when you're invited, and when you're at the meeting, there are all sorts of code of conduct which we're not going to go into today. That will be a topic for another day. But very briefly, I'll let us know that when you attend the meetings, do not hog the conversation. Do not act like a know-all, because nobody appreciates a know-all in the office. But give your own suggestions and give your opinions in a candid and not bossy way. Our 12th hint for today is that you should be particularly respectful to older people, even if they are junior to you. Sometimes you're the boss, but the entire team is older than you. So respect them regardless, because their experience is what you're going to gain from. Their experience of life, their experience of the office is not worthless. So you please show particular respect to older people. Still on meetings, I'll drop one other hint, which I'll make hint number 13. Do not dominate meetings. I mentioned something like that earlier, and I'll still emphasize it. Don't dominate. Don't hear only your own voice. A meeting is called so that people brainstorm and share ideas. That's exactly what it should be. Please do not dominate a meeting. The 14th hint is about newcomers coming to your office or coming to your establishment. You make them feel welcome in your presence. If you're the boss, the best thing for you to do is to take a new employee and show and introduce him round to everyone. It's really important that you do that. That way, the person knows, while you're making the introductions, the person knows what it is you expect them to do, who it is you expect them to meet, who reports to who, and all of that. Very importantly. And of course, they should feel comfortable to listen to you and then get on with the job. These have been our hints for the office today, and I'm hoping that if we imbibe these hints, all 14 of them, it's going to make us much better colleagues in the office, colleagues that people would love to hang around. Thank you for listening. I'm Helen Ebaleme of Manners and Grace.
Welcome back. It is definitely Sisters Talk with Seven Smart, where we've been talking on the African woman and the pressures of being married on or before 30. And I've got two interesting guests who are single, by the way. Mickey and Ifueko are in the studio with me today, and they're exploring these pressures that we face. And I know before we went on the break, we raised discrimination from what Ifueko said. Now, my question is, with regards to factors like that, discrimination, in the society, in your workplace, all over the place, is that easy to overlook, or do we need such pressures to actually keep us on track?
I think it depends on the individual.
Okay.
It depends on if you know who you are.
Okay.
You know, it depends on what your own life goals are. To be honest, when I was in my 20s, I didn't think I was ever going to get married. It just wasn't an issue for me. And in my mid 20s, you know, I began to see the merits, let's put it that way, of being married. And, you know, I said, oh, okay, yeah, okay, now I'm ready to do this. You know, so because I made that decision, or I came to that realization, quote unquote, late in life, compared to, you know, young ladies who at 18 they already know what they are going to do on their wedding day. You know, or at least their families have already started gearing them towards getting married by the time they leave university at say 23, 24. You know, so because I came to that realization rather late in life, I didn't feel that there was any pressure on myself to be married. But by the time I hit the 30 mark, I began to ask myself, okay, when is this actually going to happen? Because, you know, I just wasn't meeting guys that, as far as I was concerned, I could marry. You know,
With the potential.
I wasn't even meeting people with quote unquote this potential. Like the people I was meeting who had potential were not available. You know, they were either already married, or they were engaged, or, you know, they were dating somebody. Usually people much younger than they were. You know, so we're sort of faced with this issue of, okay, I'm now in my 30s, or I'm almost 30, and I want to meet somebody. You now have to deal with, and I don't want to use the word limited, but it seems like the best word to use. You know, you now have to deal with a limited number of men to marry, because the men who have married, you know, who are your age are
either not available, or they are not just
exactly. It's either they are married to younger women already, or they are at such a place in their life that it would be a mistake to get married at that point in time.
Mickey, I mean, it's obvious that we individuals, we women, actually put more pressure on ourselves.
More pressure.
Well,
I mean, aside the external pressure, yes.
Among us women, to be married, you know, friends asking, so when is yours happening? You know, there is that pressure. How you handle it really depends on you
as an individual.
Because I think pressuring yourself about it doesn't even make for good choices.
True.
You know, you probably just, okay, I just want to be married, and then whoever it is, or you're forcing yourself on somebody who you shouldn't, just because you want to be married. So yes, there is a pressure amongst us women to be married, because it feels like all your friends are getting married. What's happening to you? That pressure exists.
And when your male friends are getting married as
that's
well,
that's
for me it's worse.
That's even worse.
For me,
how is that worse, really?
For me, it's a stronger pressure when my male friends are getting married, because generally there's just this thinking that guys wait, you know, to get married, and so now the guys
have gotten to the point where they can be married, and you should have been married already.
Exactly.
I mean, what determines when we should have been married?
This is how it works. In our society, the women marry at earlier ages. So, for example, if you're done with university when you're like maybe 22, 23, your male friends will be expecting you to be getting married. They're not thinking about being married at that time. Now, when they're in their 30s, they are thinking about getting married, and you're not married, and like, what's happening?
Exactly.
So when the men start getting married at that age, everybody is looking at you. Like, what's going on with you? The men are getting married already.
Is it wrong to think that these pressures can actually be detrimental to our choices,
It's
to
not
our
wrong.
lives?
It's not wrong to think that the pressures could be detrimental. In fact, they because we're all different and our tolerance levels are different, I think for some people it will push them into making wrong choices. For some of us, our skins are a little thicker. We know that we should do these things for us and not for other people, because the truth of the matter is that if you're married, you're going to be the one living with whoever it is that you choose, not anybody else, and you'll deal with any issues that come up on your own, you know. So I think, yes, I agree with you that those pressures can be detrimental, because some people are not, you know, as good at dealing with certain things as other people.
Certain levels of pressure,
yes,
you know,
as other people.
As African women, do we have a choice in the matter?